All right, welcome. We are super excited to chat today. We've been working on some stuff in the background that we're going to be teasing and showing today. And so we appreciate you guys for tuning in. If it's your lunch break or you're just catching a view between meetings, we appreciate it. But I got our head of growth, Jordan. I got our head of AI, and then myself, the growth hit team, to show what we're working on today. But there's a bigger purpose for this kind of AI dashboard because we're doing some fun things with clients and 10 lucky brands that we're going to be hitting on. But let me kind of share that for what we're talking about. But Jordan, do you want to tease this before we get started?
Yes, I'm super excited about this because there's a lot, we've been doing a lot of consulting. And really, this is the product of taking all of the biggest, most important questions that everyone has been throwing our way and really putting together a program and a cohort so we can really provide, I think, a bigger impact on your business and really have a great community built around it. So basically, what we're doing is we're opening up 10 slots for a Shopify e-commerce growth cohort, growth sprint. Over 8 weeks, we're going to work together and take you through all of the strategies that we've used to successfully scale Shopify brands. We do have some pretty strict requirements, so definitely read through. If you don't meet them, feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation about if something else might be right for you. But we are very intentionally trying to be specific and selective about who we're putting into this cohort so everyone can really benefit from the group. And it's really important to me that we have a really high quality, high impact experience for everyone. And the timing is great because we're approaching Q4. It will be here faster than you know. We'll be starting this in August. So I think it's a great time to kind of tighten up all of the nuts and bolts on your e-commerce store and your paid media funnels, really set you up to succeed as we head into that peak shopping season. Anything you guys would add or any questions, anything I missed?
No, this is great. The only thing that we could pivot from this is to talk about how we're going to be using the dashboard and portal that we've been building and where that comes into this and why that's so important to figure out how to grow your business.
Yeah. So basically, if you have a Shopify brand and ideally you're doing 5 figures, or if you're spending on paid and you want to learn how to grow with AI, check this out. The goal is help founders and marketers that are overwhelmed. You run out of time in the day. You don't have enough budget for team resources, creative. Then this is right for you to figure out how AI can supercharge this because with Neat, we've been able to 5X it and we haven't done any additional hires. It's really about working smarter rather than harder with AI. So we're pretty fired up to get into that. But like Craig said, the foundation of this is kind of simple. It's AI and it's data. And so the problem we've run into, and we've talked about this, is we've been playing around with a lot of really cool dashboards that are out there, but we just found that there was something being left on the table they weren't doing. We wanted more than a dashboard. It's like, okay, that's great. We have cool insights and data, but like, how do we action those? So over the past few months, we've been building this, and you've seen us talk about it. We're the code name of this internally is Gary B, as our kind of growth AI agent that we're creating to really give our lean teams superpowers. And so that's what we want to hit on today, is how we created this AI hub to be more than a dashboard but something that's basically this AI agent. And so Gary B, what does that stand for? Growth agent running your brand. Does it sound like Gary Vaynerchuk? Absolutely. Was that intentional? Not at all, but it is what it is. So here's kind of a demo of Gary B and how we're making a dashboard that will do work for you. But to set the stage, Craig, Jordan, anything you want to add on like the high level vision of this product?
I mean, high level is, like ultimately we keep looking at you and what you are doing with Neat and with all the other brands, the Shopify brands that we're supporting, and trying to create something that our own team falls in love with and uses every day And in fact, we've been kind of like hinting this as we go. So there's a bunch of stuff that even rolled out today during our AI council that people on this call get to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. So we'll start at a high level. And Jordan, she sees probably more than anybody on the team. She oversees all the paid ad accounts, the amount of ads she's had to deploy. There's lots of commas involved. She's pitching to boards. And the exciting thing about that is we see the common thread of how you can be proactive, how you can make data-driven decisions, and also how you can get paralysis analysis because you've got too much data. So as far as making a dashboard that isn't just like overwhelming you with data, but is actually helping you find the signal from the noise, here's some of the things that we're excited about. And spoiler, this is the most exciting thing, is actually the growth agent, where we take all of our data, put it into an LLM, put it to a model to start to do work. We'll build up to that, but just want to show a few things that we're excited about. So first, we've talked about the founder view. So what does this mean? If you're the founder, if you're the head of growth, if you're the sole marketer, what are the 7 metrics you need to know to run your business? And how do they drive your actions? And for us, it's simple. And Jordan's been a great evangelist of this. And it's your MER, your marketing efficiency ratio. Like, how efficient are your marketing dollars? Are they profitable? Are they not? And then this one is very crucial because it drives new customer acquisition. It's your CAC, your customer acquisition cost. So here's the big question. How do you act based on how these numbers move? And we call them tripwires. We use EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System. And basically, Jordan and I are like, okay, if MER is over 2, keep spending. Actually, spend more. And if your CAC, the cost to acquire a customer for our brand Neat, is under 75, guess what? Spend more. So we came up with the idea of like, I want this dashboard to be screaming at me what to do. So you go here, you put in your tripwires for your MER, your CAC, and we can come back to how you calculate these. And that way, when you look at this dashboard, we want it to be idiot proof. It's like, you're on track. This is green, spend more. So when Jordan and I are doing forecasting and budgeting, it's like, hey, this is going quite well. Keep spending. But let's say this starts to creep above those tripwires, then that's a red flag. Okay, we need to keep the spend or decrease spend and dive in to see what's happening. But anyway, this is some of the stuff we're working through to make this dashboard that will talk back to us. But Jordan, what do you want to add to these numbers that drive actions for a growth team?
Yeah, I really like what you said about not getting swept away by red herrings or noise instead of signal. That's a big reason why we designed this the way we did. And we basically took, okay, what do all of our analysts, what are their checklists of what are the things that they go through in order to really diagnose how the business is doing and what we should do? It's really simple, but it's been really difficult over the years to find an existing dashboard that did this in the way that was really business actionable and had all of the relevant metrics from the different platforms. But I think the primary use case, is like, should we scale up? Do we need to pull back? It really just allows us to make decisions faster. And then, of course, we have the subsequent views. Right now, we're kind of in this, I would say, CEO, maybe founder view. Oh, yeah, it says founder view, where it's more high level. And then based off of what we see in these red alerts, then we can go look at these different levels of analysis to make decisions on different levels of the business. Because I'm a fan of a lot of data, but every data has its place and its purpose. And so whether we're making a decision of how much cash to allocate to each channel, that's one level of analysis. Another level of analysis is what tactics do we maybe need to do to optimize a particular channel. And so we use different data to inform decisions at different parts of maybe the business pyramid. Yeah. But this saves me so much time. Like it's really sad. Like it looks so pretty and simple in here. And I wish that I had this 8 years ago. But it's been almost a decade of kind of duct taping different things or hopping from tool to tool to tool. What I love about this, it's the one-stop shop for really putting on my fractional CMO hat and just like getting and cutting straight to the meat as quick as possible.
And the other thing, so by the way, we're still not at the AI stuff yet. This
Yeah,
is
that's true.
still dashboard. But as we're about to like show the growth agent what we're doing, this is what we're thinking through is like, what does the founder need to know? Okay, now you're going into the growth marketer, the CMO, the paid media person. This is something that this might not look sexy, but to our ads team, this was a magic moment when we had the spend tracker where we can simply show, hey, what do you spend on Meta? What are you spending on Google? By channel, what's the performance? And then looking at the blended ROAS, the blended cost per acquisition, how is it performing? And to be able to see this finally at a glance without updating spreadsheets has been a huge unlock. And what's the point of this? Our team was spending so much time on spreadsheets, combining data. We can save them time so they can think strategically. So this is something that we show to our clients every week, and now they can have it with the push of a button. So super excited about this one. And we won't go into this. These are things we've done, pulling in funnel analytics from Google Analytics, pulling in stuff from Shopify. But the whole goal here is have the foundational data sets to then start to build basically the most powerful LLM you can have for a Shopify brand. So anything before we go into this, because I think the whole purpose of this is how you get a dashboard that talks back to you or tells you what to do. And it's kind of leading into these tools right here with the AI assistant.
I mean, I think that was kind of the thing that started this whole process is we were trying to replicate what you can get with ChatGPT or online chat agents. Everyone's playing with these things now, but none of them know the insides of our business. So we are trying to basically try to create that intelligence. And we realized the first step is we need to get our data all into one place. We need to get all of our Shopify, Google, Meta, reviews, all the other data that we needed to be able to have that system be aware of. We needed to, first of all, get it in one place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get into this growth agent, and we've been really troubleshooting this over the past few weeks. And here's one thing I want to say is this might look, as you get into it, it's going to look like a chat GPT experience where it's like that chat function. We are not trying to compete with chat GPT or Claude. We would lose. I would not use this over that. Where this is better, actually, I won't say better, where it solves a problem better is in the data and how you can pull that in, because we ran into so many issues with API integrations and other tools to sync into Claude or ChatGPT or Grok. We decided to kind of create our own. And so I just want to give that lens when looking at this. So what we've allowed to do is be like, okay, what brand are we about to talk about? We have a default to the URL of your brand store. This is a big one. What's the time frame at which you want us to pull data from these different data sets? And how should we group the data? And you're like, why are you asking how we group the data? We have really troubleshooted with these different data sources. There's different ways you can pull it and analyze it. There's different ways they tag it. It's more annoying and complex than we need to get into, but this allows us to make the data unified and a little bit cleaner. But here's the magic for me is opting into the data that you want. This is the founder view data. Do you want to go into Google ads and also Meta ads? Do you want us to pull Shopify and Google Analytics? What about customer reviews? And we have another one coming that I'm the most excited about, and it's this. It's meeting insights. We are now recording all of our meetings. So for example, we run the Entrepreneur Operating System. We do EOS for Neat every Wednesday. We have the full transcript. So now my LLM can be like, hey, what did Angela say about our product roadmap and what we're launching next and what size we want to sell into? Because I want to make ads for that. And it's all right there. And again, another thing that we're also pulling in, if you are on Okendo and eventually Yotpo, we're pulling in all of those reviews. So the goal is for this tool, for Gary B, to be the hub, to know everything about your business, not just the data, but I want to have that context of the reviews, of the meetings. So that way, when you're about to do a prompt, you're like, hey, I want to pull in the meeting. I want to pull in ad data. So just want to give that context. This might not be very sexy, but for us, this is the magic and the point of differentiation. So you then will initiate session to then ask it questions. But Craig, do you want to give any context on like the powered by and why we chose the different models we did?
I mean, what we're doing is we're kind of consolidating and making kind of some choices what we're doing. So right now we're using Grok for anything that's going to require any type of general web browsing. So if we ask her questions that needs to go out to the web to get information, we're using Grok for that. We're using Gemini for a lot of the number crunching and a lot of the number work. And then we're using OpenAI for more of the copywriting, prescriptive, and also image generation. The other thing too is, you notice what we just did right here is we basically set our time frame and set what data we're loading in. I don't think that's where we're going to end up. This is kind of an intermediary step for us. The idea is down the road, the system will automatically be able to identify what information it needs to pull in and dynamically pull that in. But one of the things we're running into is it just wasn't necessarily making the same decisions 2 times in a row, or it wasn't necessarily pulling in the data that we knew was needed. So right now, just because we're building out a tool and we're testing every week, we basically are a little bit prescriptive. We're saying pull in this data, and then we're going to spend the next 30 minutes basically kind of like asking questions around this particular data. So I think, Jim, you just pulled in like the last month on a daily basis, and you basically brought everything, correct?
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that you have this, and again, I kind of mentioned this is going to have that Chat GPT experience, and we're not competing with them. One thing that Jordan and her team are working on is like, what are some of those initial questions that you're going to have on a habitual basis that we can preload to help? And here's some of the fun ones we're working through. One is, I like basically every Monday in our EOS call, we get the data read to us. We want to know the insights. And so that's something we're having it do. Hey, give us our scorecard metrics. What changed? What do we need to know from the previous week, the previous month, the previous quarter? So that's one that we're working to be like an automated report. Another one we're working on is our tripwires, where I mentioned that Jordan and I look at, hey, what's the cost per acquisition? How's it trending? What's the MER? How is it trending? I wanted to tell us, hey, here's how you're doing based on your tripwires and what your actions should be. Spend more, or hey, mobile's dropping on conversion rate. Look into that and do experiments. Your email revenue is up from a retention standpoint. Do more of what you're doing or what is working there. Because the whole point of this dashboard isn't to be something fancy you can share with your boss. It's to give you insights to drive action. And that's kind of the main goal here. But Jordan, what do you want to add as far as where you're starting to get traction with the different prompts that you put into this? Oh, I think you're on mute right now.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, wonderful. Something I really love is asking for kind of time-based analysis. So sometimes it's like, oh, I feel like last May was way better than like this month or whatever it might be. Sometimes I'm just remembering the past through rose-tinted glasses, and sometimes there's real valuable things that we were doing differently during those time periods. So that's something I like to do. It's something I would do manually, but it kind of shortcuts that process and gives me some leads to go off of to go deeper.
Yeah, that's a great point. To see the year-over-year, month-over-month trends is really helpful, especially like you said, getting into Q4. Because as you're doing planning, leverage this thing to really help build upon what you did in a previous cycle. So here's the example of what I showed is like, so you can't hire data scientists, or you don't have time to nerd out into all the platforms like you want because life happens or tariff negotiations happen. Use this. So this is what we do every week. It's like, okay, give me the rundown. Okay, for Google Ads, CPC is increasing, but you have a really high ROAS. It's going quite well. We should be pushing more and spending more here, right? And look at these actionable recommendations. So scaling these winning campaigns. On the Meta side, we have a really increased ad spend. We're now, I think, spending 4 figures a day. And so the ROAS is coming down a little bit, but it's still within the guardrails of how we can play. The CPA has gone up 10%, but it's still $44. It's below $75. But this tells me and Jordan, hey, we got to watch this. We need to invest more into creative. We need to really think through how we're investing our dollars and deploying new assets, going after different personas. And then this is really good funnel insights and analytics. This is where it's showing me conversion rate and drop off and showing how we're performing on mobile versus desktop to really know where I should point my CRO team. And so for us, this has been just a nice little cheat sheet where, don't get me wrong, I do love nerding out on the analytics platforms, but I need a coffee and I need like 90 minutes of time. This just gave me my morning back. So I can go into a strategy meeting. I do this 15 minutes before, and I'm controlling the data. I'm controlling the strategy. So that for me, this is the use case that I like before my EOS call. But these are prompts that we're trying to dial in for everybody, so we can let you kind of hit these. And what are the ones you need every day, every week, every month? But for me, this one's been my favorite.
Yeah, and in terms of flagging things in here, address fit issues. There's comments in reviews and complaints. Like, it's really cool to be able to see it pull from all those different things. And I think what is happening now as we're rolling out with the team is we are starting to create our own list of which prompts we really lean on a lot. I would say we are in the current phase of everybody kind of pushing this and using it and trying to figure out, like, where does this really make a difference? Mm-hmm. So what did you just ask, Jim?
So I'm basically saying need data on the dashboard. So right now with Neat, we're expanding globally. We have launched in Canada. We've launched in the UK. We've done Australia. We've done New Zealand. We're evaluating the UAE. We're looking at Dubai. And the big question is, how's it going? How's it performing? Where are we seeing signals? So you can kind of see US, we already know, is doing quite well. UK is second, and then Canada is third. And what I care about is revenue, but also quality. So looking at conversion rate. But here's something interesting. We have done zero marketing in Japan, but we have $15,000 from Japan and a 2.5 conversion rate. Maybe this should be on the roadmap for the country we do next. We are eyeing Germany, we're eyeing Italy, but maybe I should be looking at Japan. So these are things that I'm asking as I'm trying to make strategic decisions on where we should expand, because this also impacts translation, our creative team, and where we'd want to focus. So this is a really nice signal. We need to look at Japan.
I like that.
Yeah. Jordan, I'm going to hit on a subject that can be a little touch and go that I think we're going to hit. So we get this question all the time, where what are the industry benchmarks? And really what I would say is worry about your tripwires. And we can help you calculate these. We're going to build this into our model here, so it'll calculate your marketing efficiency ratio and your CAC for you. But we will still get this question. Hey, how am I trending against the industry? So we're like, fine, we will concede. We will help you answer this question. We took some data from some really good kind of industry platforms to figure out your benchmarks on your category. Are you selling clothing? Are you selling home and garden or beauty? And how do you compare with other brands? This way you can just kind of get a feel for where you should be. But again, I would look at this with the big asterisk on it. But Jordan, what are the pros and cons of this feature that we rolled out?
Comparison is the thief of joy. Be profitable, don't be greedy. What other parables can I insert here? Yeah, I think it's a useful tool if you don't have any data, but the truth is every funnel is a little bit different. I would say there's certainly tripwires, to use that word in this context as well. There's certainly levels where we go, oh, this is not going to work unless we fix X. So conversion rate would be a good example of that. It's not even necessarily industry specific. It's more just knowing the unit economics and putting a CFO hat on and really being brutally honest about your growth model. But sometimes the conversion rate, if it's 0.5 or lower for your paid traffic, we got a problem. So I would say these things are helpful, but you also don't know a lot of things about the business. You don't know what other sales channels they have. You don't know what partnerships they do. You don't sometimes, for example, too, and the industry would account for this some, but you could be in an industry and you could be the premium option within an industry. So your cost per impression might be higher if your audience is more niche, more specific, and a highly affluent audience. You're going to have a higher CPM versus, maybe in the like snack category, you've got your Hershey's chocolate, Kisses, and then you've got maybe exotic chocolate that is, hands delivered via courier all the way from Uganda to Seattle to you get what I'm saying? Like they're different things. They're going after different people. So they would both be in food and beverage, but the cost to serve ads to those audiences are going to be totally different. So when you have a high CPM, you need a higher click-through rate or conversion rate. If you have a high click-through rate, you don't need you know what I mean? Like all these three things kind of can go up and down, and they do vary from accounts to account.
So actually what I'm hearing here is that the industry benchmarks is one of the most requested things. I think it's things that founders and like higher up because I want to know where they compare. And the deeper you know your particular company and the deeper you know your numbers, the less this really matters.
I think so. This is something at a previous company I worked at. We had a tool for creative insights called Jove. And I have very fond memories of that team and working on that tool. But a big request was constantly benchmarks. And I remember Triple Whale gave us benchmarks for a while. I believe they're not currently available, but I could be wrong. They definitely have come and gone. Also, some more expensive analytics, like business insider tools that I used to subscribe through. eMarketer is an example, but there's others. A lot of these tools, they'll give it to you, then take it away, then give it to you. It is not an easy thing. I think I'm feedbacking potentially, but
I think so, a little bit. I actually think there's a little bit of behind the scenes that kind of reveals how we're doing this, because effectively we are building this out in an ongoing weekly sprint. So
correct.
every Tuesday we are meeting with our developing team and basically working on what we need to change, fix, work on in this. And every Thursday we meet with our AI council and meet with the team that's actually putting this into work in place out in the field, get stories out. So industry benchmarks was one of the early requests. And in fact, if we scroll back up to those tripwires, we realized what we were looking for is we were looking for those numbers that we can run the company by. So the first thing we put into place was industry benchmarks. And then it got a lot of wow. And then almost immediately when it was put in front of the team that's using this, they said, well, okay, that's great, but that's not how I run my team. My team, we need to, we need specific things. And it evolved into these specific tripwires that are showing up on the founder view. So just kind of a little bit behind the scenes in terms of we're putting things out, we're field testing it, we're seeing what people use, and the stuff that they use, we lean into. But also, we're a marketing company. Sometimes you also want to have the stuff that people are going to be requesting regardless of whether it's good for them or not.
Yeah.
Oh, you're muted, Jim. This is just like our Zoom calls.
I know. The fancier equipment too,
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay or no?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The other thing is we kind of conclude this, even hearing Kevin at MirrorMate, shout out Kevin at MirrorMate. If you have a mirror without frames, go to MirrorMate.
We should plug more businesses on here.
Yeah.
I love it.
He said the same thing on the founder view with Tripwire. He's like, I want to know when to spend more, when to not spend more. Tell me. And we're like, oh my gosh, us too. And it was validating to hear that. The other thing as we kind of conclude this, as far as getting a AI hub, a dashboard that talks back to you, what are you doing with your reviews? What are you doing with your voice of customer? As we're populating all this stuff from Okendo, we're making it so you can filter it how you want it. But now you can finally get sentiment analysis, voice of customer surveys, at the push of a button without a team. And now you can start writing copy using voice of customer. So this is something that we're super excited about, where I want to do more of this, turning these insights and data into action. But and shout out to Craig, because he made this a year and a half ago, and we're like, this needs to be in our dashboard. So well done on Review Pulse.
Yeah, I love this. I think it's so cool and fun, and it's endless stuff to pull from and put into ads or tweak things on the landing page.
Yeah. So what's happening right now is we've got a team that's using this in the back end. Whenever we are meeting with clients, they basically are running it from this. So it's the founder. Generally, it's like the founder view and the spend tractor is 90% of where they're spending their time in client reviews. And then we're rolling into like the growth agent in terms of prep. And then Jordan, maybe you could talk again a little bit about the cohort that's coming together, because what's going to end up happening is we're going to be setting this up for everybody in that cohort. So everyone's got access to the same data, the same underlying AI tools. And then you're going to be leading them through a series of kind of like weekly consulting sessions around growth.
That's right. Yes.
Mhm.
So the dashboard is going to be a crucial linchpin for everything we do. It's going to be our hub, our base. We're going to get super intimate with your data and really help you feel confident going through it, understanding what levers realistically are the right ones to grow your business so you don't have to keep guessing. So I'm super excited about that. The dashboard is going to be a major tool we basically use throughout the entire cohort, and it's something too that you could maintain after that if you like it. I think you will, but really we're trying to solve a lot of wasted time spinning wheels, hopping from place to place to place, hopping in ChatGPT, hopping on Twitter. What should I do? I really want everyone who goes through this cohort to feel super empowered and confident that they are able in a time efficient manner to get a pulse on their business and have a clear direction of where to take it, even if you don't know how to set everything up in Ads Manager, even if you don't know how to do every aspect of email marketing. You should be able to lead the ship and steer it in the right direction. If nothing else, I think we're going to cover a lot of other things in the cohort, but that alone, I think, is well worth the entry price of it, because this is a skill that you will use forever. And you don't have to believe other people about what should happen for your business.
And not to play the FOMO card, but like AI is not going away and it's not slowing down. So I feel like every day, every week that goes by, you're not leaning into this, man, it's eventually could it be hard to catch up. So that's my FOMO play, but I genuinely believe it. That's why we've invested so much into this. And we do want to give one of these away for free. So DM us if you fit the criteria and you want to be a part of this cohort and get this AI dashboard and be a part of this, because we're really excited to work with the right teams that want to do this together. So more to come, but really appreciate you guys joining today. This was awesome. More to come. We're excited to show more behind the scenes on how we're building Gary B. Sorry, got to remember his last initial to make growth AI that'll grow your brand. So more to come. But Craig, Jordan, as always, thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for spending your time with us.